Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we're going to take a look at some 2GoSystems products. Now the products we're going to talk about today are the 2GoSystems Trifecta and Trifecta XL. Now there is a third model available coming out very soon at this particular moment in time, which would be a different material. So in this regard we are going to talk today about the original Trifecta version 3 and also the version 3 XL. So here you'll see that I've taken these Trifectas and I've opened them up all the way. If you know anything about 2GoSystems, you probably realize that their whole entire business model is around multi-purpose gear. So these Trifectas are a multitude of different things. They're a Bivy sack. They're an improvised shelter. In this particular case, I have them laid out as tarps. So I wanted you to be able to see the different sizes and compare them. I've had a few questions about it from other viewers, and I figured this would be a great opportunity to show you in person. Now, before we get too far into the details, I would like to pause for a quick moment. So do me a favor, stay tuned. Okay, so here I have the 2GoSystems Trifecta version 3.0, the standard size and the extra large. So the extra large at this point is on the bottom and the standard size on the top. And the first thing you'll notice is that they are made of the exact same material. Nothing has changed from version to version. So you have this nice olefin material, which if you're not familiar with olefin is basically a Tyvek. Now on the outside it is this green pattern, and if you look really close, you'll notice that there is kind of an interesting pattern to it. So it has these little dots, which I think is kind of neat. But as you get to the inside, both of these are an aluminized interior. So you'll see that both on the XL and standard size, this aluminized interior. And that is what gives 2GoSystems equipment its overall benefit. It is basically a thermal property where if you use this, maybe say for example as like an emergency poncho or something like that, and you were to put this on over your shoulders, it would help reflect the heat back at you, which is very nice. Now both of these are the identical same length. I did my best to kind of try to lay these out. They're not sitting perfectly, but they are the same in overall length. So when you really get into it and you use it as, say for example, a bivy sack, these would both be the literal identical same length. But it is the width that varies. So the standard size, you will see here, basically consider that folded in half at this moment in time. If you were to zip this thing up and use it for your bivy sack, that would be essentially as it would be if it was folded up and zippered shut. So you can see that the XL is considerably wider, really about, I would say, 1.5 times the overall width of the standard size. And that gives you some additional versatility. If you plan on using this as maybe a makeshift shelter, the extra large would be pretty good for you. I think for me personally, I would probably prefer to bring the standard size and then a full 10 by 10 tarp. However, you don't get too far off once you get into the XL. So let's just say you're getting into a situation and you don't know exactly what you're going to encounter. Having something like this that is multi-versed and flexible and versatile could definitely come to your advantage. And so maybe for that reason you would opt to carry the extra large. Maybe the idea that if you got into a situation and needed an improvised shelter, you'd rather have a little extra fabric. So we will go back to the studio later on. I'll have these in their stuff sacks and you can take a look at them. But I did want you to be able to see these in overall for their size comparison side by side. Now overall there are some minor variations, for example the number of tie outs. So on the standard size you'll notice that you have one on this corner, one in the middle, and one on this corner. But on the extra large you have not only both the corners and not only the middle, but you do have two additional tie outs along the sides of the tarp where you end up basically with just some additional lashing points. In terms of the tie outs, you do have the same number in length both on the standard size and on the XL, so that does not vary. The 2GoSystems logo is identical on both products, so basically placed in the same exact spot, you do have the same exact logo. The zipper track is the same on both models with a rubberized exterior to help keep rain and moisture out. But then one other slight difference is where the seams are. So you'll see here on the XL, the seam is basically halfway up. You'll see there is a seam, and it's pretty much running right along the ridge line. But on the standard, you do not have the same seam on the ridge line. Rather, it's closer towards the bottom. So really, about 3/4 of the way down, you do end up with a seam. Now, in all cases, both are seam taped very well, so nicely done to help protect from any potential moisture penetration. And in both versions, you end up with nicely reinforced tie-outs. Okay, so now I have both of these zipped up into more of their Bivy configuration. So see, I have them both hanging here, kind of draped over my ridge line at pretty much the same height. And I tried to get these essentially the same so that I have a good comparison for you. So as we take a look at these, you will again notice that they are essentially the exact same length. So that's the first thing to note. However, they are drastically different in terms of their width. So that's really starting to show you the difference between the standard and the XL, just in terms of how wide the XL really is. Now you got to keep into consideration, if you were using this as a bivy, the fact that the regular size is going to warm up much better. It's going to retain your body heat much better. It's going to be sort of more thermally efficient than having all this fabric and all that volume that you need to heat up, as the XL is much larger. However, again, as I've been mentioning, it's just a trade-off. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to need it? What's the situation you're walking into? And how is either one of these going to provide you with exactly what you need? So now taking a look at the two of these side by side here, you have the standard and the XL. You'll notice that when they're packed up, they're both reasonably close to the same size. Yeah, granted, you do have a little more volume here on the XL, but I would say it is not considerable. So packed up, you really end up with something that is not terribly large, not overly bulky, not terribly heavy, and gives you a ton of versatility. So depending on which one of these you're kind of looking for, either way, you really can't go wrong. So taking a look here in the studio at the 2GoSystems Trifecta XL and standard model. Here you see them both stacked up side by side. And when we get into it here, you'll see that both of these are very close to 5 inches in diameter. Now I would say that the XL is a full 5 inches and the standard model is close to a full 5 inches. A little bit girthier here on the XL versus the standard, but pretty darn close. So not too much really difference in the comparison there of the diameter. However, you can obviously see the length does vary. So here on the XL, you have pretty close to 13.5 inches, whereas here on the standard size, you're closer to maybe 11 inches. So getting this here and stacking it up, you'll see as I get this measured out, just shy of 11 inches. So really that is the biggest consideration, I would say, in terms of the size, is pretty much the length. And you know, things like this are funny in my opinion and in my experience. Sometimes having something that's a different length, even though it's longer than another item, may fit your system better. It just depends on the rest of your gear, the actual backpack that you're carrying, and how this gear fits in with the rest of your kit. So now in terms of the weight, the standard size Trifecta rings in at 14.6 ounces. So 0 pounds, 14.6 ounces. And then the Trifecta XL ringing in here at 1 pound, 4.5 ounces. So this is just a little bit heavier. I mean, all things considered, you're talking about roughly 6.5, 7 ounces difference in overall weight. Not a huge deal. That is not, in my opinion, really a deal breaker or a game changer. So really, for the most part, pretty much negligible. I would say the biggest consideration is your overall intended use and what you think you will use this gear for. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon, you damn four-wheelers.